What's going on, guys? It's Joe Farewell, and I'm going to talk you through my belt setup. This is something I've had a lot of questions about, and this is kind of a breakdown of what I'm using for a 3-gun belt. I also carry this over to USPSA, IPSC shooting, whatever sort of competitive shooting you're doing. Now, this is a little bit different than your tactical belt setup. There's a lot of videos out there on how to build out a battle belt, if you will. This is specifically for competition. So the base belt that I'm running is a Safariland ELS belt. There's a few different options out there, but this one's pretty standard and it's very affordable. I think it's like $32 for the belt. The belt itself is leather reinforced with Kydex. So it's very, very strong and has a lot of rigidity to it. The cool thing about the ELS belt setup is it runs the ELS clips very, very effectively. It has good spacing for these. So the ELS clips is the best way that I've found to change out your gear when we're shooting 3-gun, because every stage is gonna require something a little bit different. You may or may not need pistol on a stage. You may or may not need shotgun on a stage. So being able to quickly take one piece of gear off, put another piece of gear on, or even share gear with other people is super awesome when it comes down to 3-gun. So each of the pieces of gear that I'm running here has an ELS male clip on it. A lot of times you'll have a belt just completely covered in ELS female clips, and I'm not a huge fan of that. I'd rather space these out exactly for what I need personally for my own kit. So one of the things to think about is making sure that we have enough space between the mag pouches so that we're able to get an effective grip on the magazine. And then also making sure that the shotgun shell caddies, if you're shooting tac ops or limited, are spaced out effectively to where you can make sure that you're getting a good grip on those shotgun shells without having your other gear bump them off. So when we set this thing up, I've got the shotgun shell caddy up on the front inside here. And this is a King competition caddy, and they're one of the best out there as far as maintaining really good, secure hole on the shells, while also allowing you to pull the shells cleanly, not messing up the actual grip when you're going to load them in the shotgun. The other thing I have is the Priority 1 magazine pouches. These are adjustable for just about any double stack magazine that you have out there. These are my 2011 mags from Atlas Gunworks. They fit in there really effectively and provide a really smooth pull. Now, the way that I have these magazine pouches set up is there are multiple positions on the back of the mag pouch where I can screw the male side of the ELS clip to. And I have this angled in such a way that when I grab the magazine, it gives my wrist the correct angle to present that magazine into the gun. The female clips, I like to have perfectly vertical up and down. That way I can adjust my gear based off of a vertical setting on the female clips. That way, if I need to switch around from pistol mag pouches to shotgun caddies, I'm not having to change the angle of my grip. The holster that I'm running is a Priority 1 Joe Farewell Signature Series. Yes, I'm a little biased towards those, but I like it and it works really well for both USPSA and 3-gun. And what I like about this setup here is I'm running the QLS, which is a little bit larger paddle for the locking system here. It's helpful because it does provide a little extra support, but it's not necessary. I've set up a lot of belts running just ELS on holster as well as all of the magazine pouches and everything else. So you play around with what you like, see what works for you, and don't get stuck into running just one thing. Now for 3-gun, a lot of people like to run a retention holster of some sort. So I like the Safariland holsters for their retention, either the ALS, which is a thumb brake, or the GLS, which is an index off of your middle finger to break the retention on the holster. Very clean draw, but it's kind of selective on the guns that you have as options. So look into what you have out there for your firearm and make sure that you got something that's gonna fit you. I actually modified one for one of my Atlas pistols, and I gotta do some more modifications on it before I actually run in a match, because if I draw it in such a way without modification, it's gonna bump the magazine release, and of course, on the draw, you don't want your magazine falling out. That's a problem. So make sure that the gun that you've got, or the holster that you have, is set up for the gun that you've got. And then as we progress around the belt, I also am running a ratchet system. Now, this is really simple, guys. A lot of people are like, well, where'd you get the ratchet system? This is from, I think, ratchetstraps.com or M2 Ratchets. I'll leave a link down in the description, but it's a really simple setup. It allows me to simply put the belt on, keep it secure to me, keep it in the correct tension all the time without having to fumble with the little knobs that come stock on this belt. It's a cheap upgrade. The only thing that you're gonna have to look for is the hardware to put it on the belt itself. There's a couple different options out there. You can even use the actual ELS pieces from Safariland, but you may have to make some modifications, and you are going to have to cut the belt to make it work. Now, when it comes to actually setting up your gear on your belt, a couple of things that are really important is to make sure that the gear is working for you. You don't want to be fighting your gear in the middle of a stage. So the way I have my holster set up is I want the angle of the holster to match my wrist angle when I'm shooting. So when I come up and grab my gun, it's a little bit awkward compared to what you see out there. But it works really, really well, because when I come up and grab, you're gonna see my shoulder rotating slightly, but I'm not having to lift my shoulder, rotate my wrist into an awkward position to get a hold of the gun. Come up and grab, build my good grip, present onto target, and if you notice at this point, my wrist angle right here is basically the exact same wrist angle as it is in the holster. So I'm trying to match that angle and not have to make a bunch of adjustments on the way up to the target. Same thing goes for shotgun shell caddies, for my magazine pouches, etc. My magazine pouches are at a rearward angle here with the bullets facing forward, which is going to allow me to do a really clean reload without having to do any extra movement. If you have no space on your belt, you can do the vertical magazine pouches, but keep in mind that when you come down, you're going to have to make slight adjustments as far as where you grab the magazine and the angle adjustments that you do on the way up to the gun. Everything we do here is with the focus of being extremely efficient. Any inefficiencies are gonna play out as far as time on the stage. The last thing I wanna talk to you about is the magazine pouch in the rear for your rifle. We wanna have bullets facing towards my spine, so when I come off the rifle to grab that, I'm grabbing what's called a beer can grip. Some of you may be more familiar with that than others, but a beer can grip is simply coming up and grabbing the rifle mag like this. A lot of times I'll extend my thumb just up along the side of the rifle mag so I can seat that and then immediately press the bolt release on the rifle. I'll show you that here in just a second. The last thing that I want to talk about is the angle of your shotgun shell caddies. Now, I'm not a huge person, so I don't have a whole lot of room on my belt, but I do want to angle this in such a way so that I'm not having to cam my wrist one way or another in order to get good grip on the shotgun shells. It's really important that you pull these very consistently. If we can match the grip angle of, or the wrist angle of our grab to the wrist angle of when we load, it's really effective as far as making sure that you've got consistent quad loads every time you go to load the shotgun. All right, guys, one more little bonus tidbit for you, and this is a question I get all the time. It's about my magnet. And this little magnet is simply screwed onto a ELS clip, just like every other piece of my gear, and goes typically on my front ELS clip on my belt. So this is super useful whether you're unloading and showing clear. I can drop that magazine out, throw it on my magnet, or one of the most useful situations is in a USPSA stage where we're starting unloaded on the table, magazines on table, and I'm gonna have to achieve a reload later on. So I'll set this up similar to this right here. I will reach down, grab 2 magazines and my gun all at once. One mag goes on the magnet, one mag gets seated, rack, and I can start shooting immediately. So it's a pretty effective use of a simple piece of gear, but try it out for yourself, get yourself a magnet, look cool on the range while you're doing it, and it's pretty fun. All right, guys, so there are gonna be links down in the bio for a lot of these different pieces of gear, places that you can get them, or if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to me on social media, Joe_Farewell on Instagram, or hit me up on the website, farewellfirearms.com. Otherwise, if you have any questions as far as belts go, reach out, look around, see what works for you, and just try different things. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one at Tactical Hyve.